Well, hey, Becoming Me. I am so excited to introduce you to my warrior friend, Leslie. Leslie, welcome to BecomingMe.TV.
Hi, so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here. And y'all, I literally have to tell you how Leslie and I met. So, back in 2014, I packed up my little red convertible at the time and moved from Florida to Las Vegas, Nevada. I didn't know anybody. I accepted a job at Central Christian Church out there, and Leslie and her husband were kind enough to say, "Hey, we have like a guest house in our backyard if you want to live with us." And so for like the first half of my living in Vegas journey, I literally lived in Leslie's backyard. And so many of the foundational truths for this journey of becoming Emily happened in your backyard. Like, thank you. It's so special to me. I just love you and your family.
It was such a great, sweet time. I wish that it had been longer, but we were just so welcome. I mean, so honored that you would live in our home. And gosh, it was just nice to have you there. My husband travels a lot, which you know, so it was nice to just have another girl on property. And um, I love that your journey started, a little portion of it started in my backyard. We call you
Oh, it
Backyard
did.
Emily in this house. I don't know if you know
Yes.
that. We do.
Yeah.
Backyard Emily. Yep, sure do.
I love that
I
so
have like
much.
three other Emily friends, so you are qualified as
Backyard Emily.
Backyard Emily. Yep.
Yes. I love it. It's funny. I vividly remember too, one day, like I was journeying through, God was teaching me some big stuff. And I sat outside in your backyard. And it was the first time I had written a blog post in like a long time.
Yeah.
And that was like a pivotal moment for me, like looking at your pool, looking at the little guest house. I'm writing this blog post and I was awakening again to who God made Emily to be. And she's just, it's a it's a season and a chapter that's etched in my heart in a profound way, and yeah, I just hope that you can feel some of that because
do.
it's
I
hard for me
do.
to put words to it. So, thank you.
God brought us together for a reason. We always know that. And look, I mean, how many years later we're
I
still
know.
in connection, still cheering each other on, still
Yeah.
being like the warrior sisters that we really are.
I love it so much. And I was so excited. I just dove into how we knew each other, but there's people watching who don't even know
Yeah, they
who
have
you
no idea
are.
who
So
I am.
Leslie, like take a moment and just share who is Leslie, the fun
Sure.
things, what you do, who you are.
Yeah. Hi, Leslie Jones from Las Vegas here, originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I too jumped in my car, not convertible. But after I graduated college and moved out here to be a publicist at some of the hotels and shows and strip restaurants out here, um, I am a marathon runner. I just completed my very first last month. Woo, fellow runner. I have an amazing son who's almost 7. I've been married to my husband for 16 years. We met out here, so it is possible to meet your spouse in a crazy city called Las Vegas. I
Woo.
promise. We are extremely connected with our church central out here. In fact, you and I met through the intern program, which we mentioned, but I had helped with that for several years. So we just love our church family. We love the Vegas desert.
Mhm.
Um, Sun almost all year round. You can't beat it.
Yes.
Can't beat it.
Yes. And that no humidity. I do miss that a little bit because,
Oh
like,
yeah, your Florida humidity, girl. I don't even know
yeah,
how you run in that. I don't.
the running
Ooh.
and the hair, it's just very different.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Come on out
and
here. We got trails. We got
yes,
no humidity. Your hair is always amazing when you come to the desert.
I definitely need to come back to visit for
Me
sure.
too, for
So,
sure.
Leslie, I would just love for you to take some time and unpack your story. Like, what
Yeah.
has made you who you are today?
It's a good story. But like I mentioned, when I moved here to Vegas, I was so kind of connected with the strip. I mean, I was walking celebrities down red carpets. I was staffing photo shoots at nightclubs. I was just really into the publicity scene, and I got kind of far away from God. I had grown up in the church. My uncle was the pastor of our Presbyterian church. So I did summer camps and Bible school and, the whole thing, but had sort of fallen away after college. And when I got myself into some trouble out here, I knew I needed a change. So
Mhm.
a friend had suggested Central Church, and it's this huge building off the freeway. I mean, if you have ever driven by, you've always wondered what this big octagon shaped building is. But that's Central Church, and it
Mhm.
is at last count, I think it's like the 11th largest church in our country. That could be
Wow.
wrong, but at some point that was a number. So it's a huge place, extremely different from the church I grew up in. Everybody knew who I was. Everybody knew when I walked backward, and would tell family members. So it was nice to have anonymity at Central. I could walk in, nobody knew my story, nobody knew how far I'd fallen, or how much I felt like the place would burn down around me because I had sinned so much. But one of the best things that I ever read was a sign on the wall when I walked into Central that said, "It's okay to not be okay." And Emily, oh my gosh, my heart. I mean, it's been
Yes.
20 years, and the emotion that I went through on that, I almost dropped to my knees at that point, because it was like God saying, "I see what you've done, but I'm here and you can just come in as you are." And in a place like Las Vegas, that's really important, because the kind of industry that's out here. And I was a publicist. So like I was, suit and clipboard. I was like on the front end of that seedy scenery, but there's a backstory in the underbelly of this city. And we want people that walk in through the central doors to know they can come in their cocktail waitress uniform, or their, a jacket over their stripper uniform. It's okay. And that was the first time that I had felt like God was really part of, like, I don't know how to explain it. I guess I felt God for the first time.
Oh yeah.
Prior to that, it was my relationship with God was like on the back of my mom. Like
Yep.
she was the one that
Yep.
was making me go to church, and I was doing these things so that I could make her happy, but there was no connection. And so getting connected with God at Central, that's when my fire was relit, I guess you could say. And I'm on fire for him. I started volunteering. I got connected with a couple small groups. Really serving God was what brought my faith alive, and being out there, being the hands and feet of Jesus. Faith is something, but it's better when you're out expressing that, right? And living out your salvation of what Jesus told us to do, is go love his people. So, so that was kind of how I reconnected with church. But I had, I had a couple years where I was floating around doing stuff in the church, just really volunteering, but still working outside the home. And once I had my son in 2015, I didn't listen to God again. Jonah and I have a lot in common. So God had been asking me to come back into the home and be there to spend the time with my son until he left for school. And I just kept pushing back, saying like, this is my journey. This is my job. I want this part of my career. And he finally brought me to my knees. Long story short, I came home and I had a major transition from being a working mom to being a stay-at-home full-time, nothing else but my focus was Ryder. And it was a couple years of some real becoming, honestly. And Emily, you know this, the becoming story is not easy. It is full of pruning. It is full of dark valleys and, rough terrain. And I stumbled for a couple years getting that groove. I think God was peeling back all of my works that I had thought I was doing for him, and making me realize that I needed to be foundationally connected with him before I was out there doing for him. So for 3 years, he and I, we had a ball, and we had some fights of him just tearing down all of the things that I built up, and then raising me back up in his image, me seeing myself through his eyes, me connecting with him differently as a parent. I'll tell you what, that's a huge change in someone's spiritual journey when they become a parent, or they're, in charge of taking care of someone, that the love you feel for that thing that you're taking care of cannot compare to how God loves you. So when you view that relationship in that terms, it just, gosh, my heart just expanded a million times. So now my kid's in kindergarten and he's gone all day. And I believe that God is rewarding me for that obedience by birthing this writing ministry in me. And I've always been a writer, always been a reader, but I never had any time to focus on it. And now he's given me that time. And that
Mm.
obedience is paying off. I'd say obedience is like the watchword of my last 3 years. Because everything he told me to do, even though I pushed back on it,
Mhm.
which I'm sure he was, okay, get it, Leslie, come on, pick it up faster. Every time I pushed back on him, though, I eventually gave in, and I eventually let him change me from the inside out. And the becoming part um, is so beautiful. It's hard, but it's beautiful. And I'm grateful to be on this journey with him and all that he's taught me.
Oh my goodness. Like I've had goosebumps listening to your story. It's so powerful. And you're 100% right. Like becoming's not for the faint of heart. It is a lot of hard work. It's not clean or pretty and it's rough around the edges. And so watching how you have leaned in and the obedience word that you hit on is so true and so powerful. Not something that we often want to shine a spotlight on.
Yeah.
Um, but I love watching the fruit of that obedience in your life now and how you are writing and you're running and you are shining so brightly the hope you have in Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love that. I see you have a coffee mug. How do you
Yeah.
drink your coffee? Is that coffee or tea?
It's tea. It will always be tea. I am like the
Ooh,
one and only person who doesn't like coffee. Shh.
that's
Don't
okay.
tell. People really get mad when you say they like don't understand you when you say you don't like coffee.
I I I kind of am one of those people, but I
Yeah.
still love all of you, so it's
Yeah.
okay.
Here's the thing. I don't hate coffee. I just would add so much creamer and sugar to it that it wouldn't even taste like coffee anymore. So why drink it?
I
That's
get
my
that.
feeling. But
Okay, so what
yes,
kind of tea do you drink?
everything. But currently, I'm drinking Zen by
Oh,
Tazo Tea.
that sounds really good.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of different flavors. I drink it basically all day long. Caffeinated in the morning and then herbal through
Mm.
the day. It helps me with my water intake.
Hey, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love it.
And I've got my
So
Christmas present from Ryder,
oh,
my best mom mug.
so cute. I love that mug. It's
Yep.
beautiful. I
It's
love
my
that.
favorite. My
Mugs with like
favorite.
special meanings and messages are
Yes.
just the
Yep.
best. I
Mhm.
love it. So, if you were having a cup of tea with someone else on their own becoming journey, what would you say to encourage them to be who God made them to be?
Well, there's a couple things. Number one, I think like it happened in my journey when you allow God to strip away all of the idols that you built, all of the thoughts that you thought would get you to this certain spiritual journey part. When you let Him strip that away,
Mm.
what remains is what's true. And that's again painful experience, right? But we know that God's the, excuse me, is the great
Mhm.
gardener and the pruner of our lives. So we have to be open to going through those difficult times. And though we may push back, that's our nature, I think.
Mhm.
Um, as we fight through that and stay close to Him and just allow Him to do the work, then again, what remains is true and what He can continue to build on so that we
Mhm.
can progress in our spiritual journey. Um, the other thing I would say, I'm a huge proponent of hospitality. My husband runs a hospitality company. My parents own a hotel. It's in my blood.
Mhm.
And I think, well, no matter where you're living in an apartment or your parents' basement or a mansion or a tiny little shack, you have the opportunity to love on people through your
Mm.
home.
Yeah.
And whether it's like I did with you, Emily,
Yep.
opening my home to allow you to come in and stay and
Mhm.
provide that safe place for you. Now, obviously, you're a pastor's kid. You had a relationship with Jesus already, but had
Mhm.
you not, that would have been my invitation, I believe, my holy invitation
Yeah.
to bring you into our fold, to let you sort of come into the house and say, there's
Mm.
something different about this place. I don't know what it is, but I
Mhm.
want it. And then give me
Mhm.
the opportunity to share Jesus's love with you. So I'd say to anybody that's on this becoming journey, don't
Mm.
neglect that holy opportunity that you have. Invite somebody over for tea and toast. It does not have to be a gourmet meal. My husband is a gourmet chef, and we still don't offer that kind of stuff when people come over because
Mm.
it's more important about their comfort level than how fancy I can make the mussels with like the sprinklings of stuff on top. Like nobody cares about that.
Mm,
So I guess those would be my things, that stay open to the pruning, but then also open to the opportunity of
mm.
walking alongside other people, even as you're journeying, even
Yeah.
if you're in the hard parts. There's somebody
Mhm.
out there that can you along, or that you're maybe a little bit further along in your
Yeah.
journey that you can pull along with you.
I
So
love that.
yeah.
And I love how you even worded it's a holy invitation. And it kind of is hitting me in a unique way right now. Like, yeah, I, stepped into your backyard. I'm a pastor's kid. I already have a relationship with Jesus. Um, but really a lot of the fruit of what I'm seeing in my life now happened in a lot of the God peeling back layers in me in your guest home. And so I think what like you had no idea at that time and thinking, "Oh, maybe I won't even be able to impact this girl cuz she already knows Jesus." You did in such a profound way. And even before filming, we were talking through how many stories have we done with BecomingMe.tv, and I think this one is like 135, 136.
Amazing.
It's
Amazing.
crazy, but everything that BecomingMe.tv is doing now, it really started back in your backyard because God had to like literally like take up a bunch of stuff in me.
Mhm.
And so I think there was a beautiful holy invitation that neither of us would have realized at the time, but now
Yeah.
looking back, I can be like, wow, that little guest house, what God it did in me there, you saying yes to some stranger from Florida, it
Yep.
was a holy invitation. And I just forever thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm
So
so grateful he brought us together, and I've tried to live my life as a homemaker with
mm,
that in mind. That always say yes unless you have a really good reason not to, because
yeah.
the opportunity is given to you, and if you
Mm,
miss the holy invitation, you miss out.
yeah.
So I just gave a talk the other day to our Central Moms group about praying over our homes, the importance of that,
Mm,
and this idea that no matter if it's just you living alone in an apartment or you've got a house full of 100 people, you can help protect your home
yeah.
against the schemes of the enemy by praying over it, and just
Mhm,
the importance of building your home on biblical truth, so that when the winds blow you don't fall, and you have
mm.
the opportunity of everybody that lives or comes into your home to make sure
Yep.
that they know that.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
so powerful. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. You mentioned that you're writing and
Hmm.
you're a runner. I'm inspired by you online. If somebody was like, hey, I want to follow your journey more and keep learning from your becoming story, where can they connect with your writing?
Sure.
Where can they connect with you?
I've got some exciting news about the writing. We're finally
Oh,
getting a blog launched. It's been,
yes.
I don't know, like a 3-year journey again. So all the things
Hey,
that
it's
happen, but
happening.
it's happening. Yes. So that is going to be lesliejonescreative.com.
Ooh, I love it.
So that's where people can connect with me. But then on social, it's at Jones Leslie Ann
I love
on
it.
Facebook and Instagram. And I just started on TikTok too at Leslie from
Yes, you did.
what is it? Leslie Las Vegas?
I think
Yes.
so, because
Yes.
you recently you posted was your first post you just finishing one of your long
Yes. I
runs?
did want,
Yeah,
yeah, my 20th
yep,
20-mile run. Hmm.
yep. Well, I think because you popped up on my For You feed, and I was like, "Wait, that's Leslie." I was like, "Yes,
One of my younger
yes."
nieces is like, "You're on TikTok. Congratulations." I'm like, you know what? Just trying to spread the word about God. That's all. And if I have to look silly doing it, so be it. But that's our job, right? That's our one and only
Yep,
job, is to get more people on the ark every day.
yep.
It starts in your home, and everybody that you connect with. It's about living a life that is
Mm,
full of integrity and faith and
yep,
no fear. No
yeah.
fear. Go run hard after your life.
Mm,
Chase it. We only have one, right?
mm. Yes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You inspire and encourage me so much. Like I just love you. Thank you for and we will have all the links, everybody, in the show notes. So you can easily connect with Leslie. But thank you for sharing your story, who you are, who you're becoming, and thank you for impacting me. Like I just love you so much.
I love you too. Thank you for all you do.